Okay, or besides Sarah telling me when to stop, when you've had enough, feel free to stand up, shout. If coffee comes, that'll be good. Stand up, shout, throw things, but just please be gentle. I'm old and fragile. You're very, very welcome here. Congratulations on making it to this stage of your journey. One of the things that I'm sure you're finding out, whether you're newish to companies or you've been the founder of the company, is that things change very quickly as you go along. So welcome to the world of scaling. What I'm going to guide you through for the next hour and a half or so are some of the experiences, lessons learned, and some of the good practices and theories that should sit behind how you scale out a sales and marketing engine. This isn't religion. This isn't a philosophy class. Please feel free to speak up, to offer your perspective, which is nice language for object, support the point, challenge the point, or ask questions. There will be no such thing as a stupid question today. I might have some stupid answers, but please, we're going to move at a pace, so if anything isn't resonating, isn't sitting with you, put your hand up. In about 5 years' time, there might be an MBA school on how to do this. At the minute, there isn't. So anybody who tells you they know exactly how to do this, including me, is spoofing. Nobody knows exactly how to do this, and there is no cookie cutter. So this is going to be hands-on, experiential learning. You're going to do more of the work today than I am. Just so you know, I've got 3 exercises coming. And in those exercises, we're going to ask you to build some information and share some information. And we'll just make sure from a video perspective that anything that's confidential is screened out and excluded. So it's a very, very safe room, but please don't hold back. My name's Largey. My corporate background, I was a frustrated technologist who became a frustrated sales guy, who became a sort of businessy guy. I've been through something like 20 or 30 funding rounds, 2 flotations, 1 FTSE, 1 NASDAQ. I've wrecked 3 or 4 companies and had to shut them down. I made a whole ton of mistakes. I'm not the Six Sigma guy. I'm just about growth because that's fun. Growing and scaling is fun. And if I can help you in any way to grow and scale, that would be success across this program. I will speak honestly, I'll speak frankly. For anybody who's not getting the Northern Ireland bit, there's earplugs under the desk where the translator will kick in. If I go too fast, just ask me to slow down. Just ask me to slow down. Or if I'm going too slow, ask me to speed up. I'm going to be a nightmare for Stephen, so I'm going to walk around and move around a lot. For those of you on this side of the room, when you feel me walking behind you, please don't feel intimidated. It'll all be fine. But I just need to walk, otherwise I'll seize up. So, okay, so what am I going to cover with you this morning? So a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about the concept of multi-channel marketing execution. What does that really mean? In the old days, it used to be simple. You had sales, you had marketing, you had a customer, you applied sales and marketing to the customer, and bingo, money fell out the bottom end. It ain't that simple anymore. It's actually quite difficult to work out who your customer is, what's the difference between a customer and a user, who are the influencers, and what channels should I bring in play to actually bring those customers or users to me and create money to fall out the bottom end of that. So the world's actually quite complex these days, and what we're going to do today is tease that out, and I'll share with you some of the current thinking, what works, what doesn't work, and this idea of multi-channel marketing execution. Sort of key to all of this is going to be knowing who your customer is. I heard a number of you say on the way around that what you have are, you have some customers, you have a number of customers, you have a lot of customers. I'll be challenging you today and through this program to really work out who your customer is. Because if you try and sell to too many people at the same time, unless you're brilliant and amazing and the first person to crack it, you'll probably fail. That's not a doom and gloom piece, that'll come later. That's just an early warning that if you're not focused on what you're doing, decluttered and focused, understand who your customer is and execute excellently against that, life gets hard. For any of you who are recently funded and enjoying the joy of that, congratulations. Enjoy that by yourself, your friend, your partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend, mother, daughter, son, whatever it is. Buy them a nice meal, buy them a bottle of bubbly, and then forget about it. The good times are going to come on the next wave of funding, or an exit, or in the back of lots of customer money. The money that you have at the minute will burn very, very quickly. So be careful how you spend it. If we can help you shortcut some of the mistake loops, never mind educate you or inform you or challenge you, if we can just stop you doing the silly things that other people have done, including me, you'll be a whole lot better off. We're going to talk about metrics. I'm a numbers guy. I see pictures and I see numbers. That's what I see. I think I'm bipolar. You can be a better judge of that towards the end of the day. But besides the pictures of strategy or the envisioning of where you want to go, your businesses, I would strongly recommend to you, need to be built on metrics and numbers. The marketeers and the marketing that we're going to talk about today and through this program is data scientistry. It's not marketing communications. There will be some marketing communications in it, but marketing isn't marketing communications anymore. It's the hard world of formulating plans, assumptions, hypotheses, go test it, and measure everything that's happening. So we're going to talk about some of the key metrics that you need to think about, but by the end of today, or when the headache's cleared in the morning, I would ask you to be thinking about what are the key metrics in your business? What should you be measuring? Because if you're not careful, you'll do a great job of measuring everything and being able to influence and change nothing. So identifying the key metrics is really important. And then we're going to talk about how you measure progress and iterate. Okay, so this is what we want to build for you. Our goal for you is that by the end of this bootcamp, what you have, and I don't mean the blue outfit. If you want a blue outfit, you've got a nice blue outfit, that's pretty cool. And if it suits you, feel free to wear it next time. But what we're going to try and create for you is a machine, a repeatable, scalable machine that has a number of moving pieces in it. It'll have some marketing elements, it'll have some sales elements, it'll have some digital marketing tools for sure, it'll have some telesales people, some of you are in the room. And these cogs all need to be put together in a way that out the far end of this comes money. Now, if anybody isn't in the business of making money, you're probably not going to enjoy the rest of my session, because this is all about how do you make money. I'm a frustrated Buddhist. I think I'm not just about the money, but in terms of building sales and marketing machinery, it's all about the money. So without being brutal and blasé about all of the other things that are really important in your business, this is the how do you make money session, okay? Just so we're clear. Has anybody got a hobby rather than a business that we're talking about today? No? Okay, good. So this is all about the business side of things. Okay, so that's what we want to try and build for you. And in the old world it was fairly straightforward, as I said, but in the new world, in this Web 2.0, Web 3.0, cloud provisioned, SaaS provisioned, web-ish world that we live in, it's a lot more complex than that. In the old world, when I was a lad, I went to university the first time in the sort of early to mid 80s in Belfast, and operations and sales and everything were very simplistic, very linear. You know, the operations or the design people would be involved in building something. The sales people would go sell it. Here you go, young lad. You know, put your shiny suit on, jump in your car, clear off, and don't come back till you've sold something. That was the world back then. The salesperson would then come back waving an order. Congratulations, hand it over to somebody in production and say, thanks very much. Not really sure what I promised them. I think it's sort of what we have, and they need it delivered next week. See you later, I'm off. And that was it. And what did the customer get? Well, hopefully the customer got what they think they were going to get. Sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. And then what happened after that? Well, if they took out a maintenance contract, you talked to them. If they didn't have a maintenance contract, didn't really bother. And good luck, we'll see you again maybe next time. That world doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. Quite refreshingly so. The world that we live in now has got quite a cyclical loop going on between product concept, product design, product ideation, product construction, product delivery, with customers involved in the middle of that virtuous loop. It's a continuum. It doesn't stop. There's someone in charge of customer success or customer experience? Okay, good. Congratulations. You're the new world sales guy. If you don't do a great job on customer experience, if I'm the customer, I'm gone. And if I go, I'll tell a few other people why I went. Sounded like a great idea, was pretty good at the start. After that, wasn't so happy with it, so what did I do? I churned, I left. I'll tell my friends I'm gone. And all of the money that you'll have spent acquiring the customer, gone, disappears. We'll talk a little bit today about cost of acquisition and lifetime value, but not a whole lot. But I would imagine most of your business plans, there's something in there that talks about the longevity of how long the customer is going to be with you. Has anybody not got that? Some transaction businesses don't have it. If you guys in video, if you're going to a transactional model. But even within a transactional model, there's a lifetime you need repeat. So the new world, the new role of customer success, customer experience, if you don't do that well, you'll burn a lot of money, acquiring a lot of customers, and before you know it, they're gone. Churned. Tried it, wasn't too keen about it. Lots of other people giving me promises. Guess what? I'm off. For any of you who think you have a truly unique business that no one else has thought of, I'd ask you to go and check in with yourself on that and have a chat with yourself or have a chat with me afterwards. Ideas aren't a gig anymore. This is all about execution. You make money on execution, not on ideas. So we'll talk a little about it later about how these machinery parts come together. But if you don't be thinking and resourcing how you're going to do the full delivery of lifetime value to your customer, it won't happen. And you'll be sitting wondering why your revenue model's fallen off a cliff. So the world is changing. World's changing, there's no rules, nobody knows how to do this except you. Okay? At the end of this bootcamp, you will have a good idea of the blueprint for what you're going to put in place. You might throw it out in 2 years' time. You'll certainly iterate it along the way, but you'll have a blueprint within which to operate and make decisions about hiring, spending money, and allocating resources across the next couple of years. Okay, hands up who's an engineer. You're very welcome, you're very welcome, you're very welcome, you're very welcome. Hands up who's in sales. Hands up who's in marketing. Hands up who's something else. So, FD, captured that. Ooh, CEO, who's, what?
All the things you just mentioned.
Everything, all of the above, and sorry, who else?
CEO, really sales is 80% of what I do.
Okay, so, yeah, you're all very welcome to the sales team. For anybody who doesn't think they're in sales, bad luck, you are. Bad luck. Get over it. Get over it. I'm sure in a lot of your pitches to investors, you know, the CEOs stood up or the founders stood up and did a really good job selling the concept, selling the business. I'm sure the CEOs and founders did a really good job selling the first customers, understanding the product, how to position it. You know, you're in a sales team. And unless you get to a reasonably significant size, and I'm trying to do the mental math of everyone in my head, I'm not sure if any of the CEOs can get out of sales in the short term. So the worst possible thing you could do is hand off this responsibility to someone else and say, thank God that bit's over. I don't have to sell anymore. I don't have to talk to customers anymore. Great, I'll get back to product design, being an FD, concepts, ideas, developing. But no, it's not going to happen. If you went and actually really told your investors you were thinking of stepping back out of sales, I think they might have an interesting chat with you. You're indispensable. And the reason you're indispensable is that, you know, when you look at how sales, your first sales were carried out, first generation selling within your company, if you were lucky, if you were clever, if you were gifted, if you were insightful, you would have put together some sort of CRM system, Oracle or otherwise. You would have put together a CRM system. You would have had a number of stages along the way. You would have worked out maybe some gates along the way, some checkpoints. You might have even worked out some tasks that needed to be completed before you could go to the next stage. You might have applied some probabilities against it and built a pipeline, built a sales pipeline. You might have done that. Maybe you didn't. Maybe it was all in your head, which is okay. I'll come back to that. Maybe it was all in your head, but I would imagine most of you through investment rounds or in the early stages of running your business would have put together something like this, okay, or a shrunken version thereof. For those of you who are a bit more sophisticated, you might have put together something like this. So in this world, we delineate the different stages of marketing execution, and then there are some sales stages. The sales stages here are just a little like these, but just a bit more detailed and better thought through. But the marketing stages, the sort of, what do I do before I go sell to a customer? How do I work on my positioning? How do I generate some awareness? How do I generate some interest? Have they heard about me? Do they care? And then, are they interested in going a little bit further? Those marketing stages coming into play are another stage of evolution. At around about this stage, you're crawling out of the swamp. You're crawling out of the swamp. You're starting to think like a scalable company. I reckon almost anyone in a sales role could sell almost anything once. Okay, so any of you who are long-term salespeople, and I'm one of them, at a really good stage of my career, lasted a long time, was fabulous. The good old days, selling, getting my suit on, jumping in my car, clearing off, having some coffee on the road, talk to a few customers, do a few demos, close a few deals, go and have a few drinks, you know, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. The rinsing was mostly about the liver. That was a great world. Guess what? It's gone. when I was a lad doing that a long time ago, marketing people, I thought marketing was about pens, branded goods, and scantily clad boys and girls hanging over cars, or sexy technology, or or branding logos at events. That's what I thought marketing was. It's not. It's not. Marketing is really important. Holistic marketing is about understanding your customer, understanding how you're going to engage with them, understanding what messages you're going to share with them, and then executing excellently against that. That's what it's all about. For my sins, Declaration of Bias, a business I was involved in, floated, and I had the opportunity to go and spend a bit of time doing an MBA as part of the get out clause. And I went and did an MBA and majored in marketing about 2007, 2008, and I seen the light. The battle's over. You know the whole sales versus marketing thing? Battle's over, marketing wins. Okay, it was hard for me to swallow. I nearly choked. It took me a few years. It's over. Anybody who thinks otherwise, again, might need to go away and have a bit of a chat with themselves. The days of businesses, the days of your businesses being able to be successful by going and hiring a lot of young Harrys, you know, young enthusiastic folks, dress them up, give them a decent haircut, it was a long time ago, put them in their car and send them off and say, don't come back till you've sold something. If that's the entirety of your sales execution and revenue generation, you're probably beat. You're probably beat. Those days are gone. So the entirety of your execution across marketing and sales needs to be carefully thought out. So marketing, bit of a revelation. You might have these more complex processes in play with verifiable outcomes. You might have a CRM system in play, you know, whether it's Oracle, Salesforce. It's okay to say Salesforce, is it? Let's go. Great, thank God. Got that one out of the way. I spent 6 years running a Microsoft business, so it's okay. I managed to get the chip extracted. You've probably seen something like this before. You know, how do you build funnels? How do you build sales and marketing funnels? Things got a little bit cleverer in marketing, and people would talk about, okay, so I have these different funnel segments, put whatever labels you want on them. I'm going to build a low-touch, no-touch marketing execution model where the salespeople are gone. I don't need salespeople anymore. I'm going to do it all through marketing. I've seen the light. Salespeople don't want to talk to them, don't like them, don't understand them, don't like being sold to. So we're going to do it all online through marketing, and that's it. Easy peasy. So I'm going to create a clever funnel. I'm going to have some different stages in that funnel. Our old friends, awareness, interest, and evaluation are back. Commitment, purchase, retention. And I'm just going to be really, really clever and use some really clever, capable tools to build traffic, drive traffic, have that traffic engage with me. And out the bottom end of that will fall money. Simplex. That doesn't work either, usually. I'm being a little bit binary in the language that I'm using. So if anybody thinks it's, I'll try not to use any swear words today. If anybody has a different view, please feel free to share. Okay, so the binary world of it's all about sales doesn't work. I would challenge you that the binary world of it's all about marketing probably doesn't work either. And the reason I would challenge you to say it doesn't work is I don't want you to be thinking that it's simplex. All I need to do is buy some tools, go recruit some marketeers, straight out of college, freshly educated or have had the DMI Kool-Aid provided to them. I know what I'm doing. I'm 22 years of age. This is my first job. Give me all the responsibility for generating revenue for this company, and it's sorted, because it's all about funnel metrics. If I do a great job with SEO, SEM, and AdWords, sorted. That's all I need to do. It's not really that simple. Has anybody been down that road? It's okay. This is safe. So anything that anybody says that might be a confession can be edited out. Has anybody been down that road of pure marketing-led execution? No?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Do you want to tell us about it?
Pure, but it's primary channel, yeah.
Okay, how did it work out for you?
It's working very well today.
Brilliant.
The challenge is how scalable it is.
There you go.
But it will deliver an ROI.
There you go. And I think that's exactly the point. So in the same way that in early days in the company, the founder or the early salesperson can go and sell a few things, you can build some early traction and an ROI around pure digital marketing execution. You can, but can it scale? Probably not. Probably not. If you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. So if you want to break the mold and scale the thing out, what I challenge you with for today is to take a look at the different strands in this multi-channel marketing execution and work out what the right mix is for you. Okay. So, in the old days, it used to be simple who the customer was. It used to be really, really simple. You could identify them and go and engage with them. Now the world's got a lot more complex. So, everyone here is in a digital world. That's correct. There's nobody selling physical bricks, goods. There's nobody selling in a shop alone. Okay, so everybody's online. Okay. The customer used to simplistically be the person who gave you money. For a number of your solutions, and I'm just, again, apologies, I'm just getting up to speed with who everybody is. A number of you will have users of your service who don't give you any money. Now, simplistically, that could be the people who are in the company. If you're in B2B, it could be people that are in the company who are going to use your product or service, who are very influential in the sales cycle, but they're not the one who gives you the money. The person who signs the purchase order and hands over the cash might be somebody different. For those of you who are operating in B2C models, the user could not be where you monetize at all. It might be free to use for the consumer, and you monetize at the back end, either through B2B relationships, through advertising, sponsorship, or third parties, third channels. There'll be influencers, so who else is involved? What level of endorsement do you need to have from someone else? So I know some of you from a while back, so apologies, so with Ian and Legal Shine, just as a for example, an influencer in the Legal Shine solution might be a third party who advises the company on what they should do from a legal perspective. It could be their current legal services provider. It could be someone else. Not necessarily the person who's going to be involved either in using the service or in paying for it. Or there could be a partner involved. I'm sure a number of you will be involved in collaborations or in ecosystems or in platform type mode, or a number of you might have supply chain partners, so someone who sells for you. They're involved in it. And your job in trying to work out how do I engage with these different people, probably in similar timelines, is very complicated. So if you remember this sort of spreadsheety stuff around marketing stages and sales stages for a singular customer, what we're talking about now is exponentially increasing that. How do you market to these people? How do you market to your users? Do you market to your users? You could just choose to ignore that and hope it goes away. Probably not the best thing to do if your users are important. How do you engage with them? What do you do? And that isn't just about customer success or customer experience. It's if you have other users, influencers, or partners, how do they experience the brand? How do they experience the product, if at all? It's okay if the conscious answer is they don't, but for you not to look at those people and challenge yourself to work out how you market to them, how you sell to them, how you engage with them would be a mistake, because they could be very, very important. I used to remember years ago, still happens today, where I have businesses I'm involved in where they bid for business and they don't get it and can't for the life of them work out why. The ROI was very compelling. Price wasn't the issue. The price was less than 1/10 of the saving. Customers should have bought it. Why did they not buy it? And you can never find out. The reason is usually down here in one of these three areas. And the reason why I would have lost business and why even today companies lose business is because they haven't worked out these other things. Why? Because the users said they didn't like it. They were quite vociferous about saying they didn't like it and wouldn't use it, so they told the buyer not to buy it. Or an influencer that you hadn't identified, whether it's a partner or a separate influencer, was saying, no, I don't want this to happen. I haven't heard of them, don't know anything about them, don't like them, they never bothered talking to me. So no, it doesn't have my endorsement, so the buyer decides not to buy. That's quite a typical pattern. Quite a typical pattern. We see that a lot. I should have said at the start, besides the core business that I run called Cloudmover, which does this sort of stuff, builds and designs multi-channel marketing execution engines. I'm actually a director in 4 other companies, so I live this stuff. I live this stuff. I'm a practitioner, not a theorist. I'll share with you in offline mode who the companies are, just to make sure there are no clashes with any of you. But I'm living and breathing this stuff with people who are reasonably well funded trying to build engines. And we make these mistakes or still see them happening as we go along. So who is the customer is much more complex than it used to be. This is the most awful slide that I'm going to talk about, okay? Please don't try and read it. You're going to get the slides afterwards. But I'm going to ask you to do a bit of work because the context within which you will design your sales and marketing engine relates to what stage of development you're at. Have any of you seen this stuff before? Kroll and Yoskowitz? Okay, has anybody not seen it? Okay, cool. I'll go through it at a clip, but stop me at any stage if you want to. So Alistair Kroll and Ben Yoskowitz, two very clever, very engaging guys. Alistair tends to be in Ireland 2 or 3 times a year. Well worth going to see. I'll share a couple of his blog posts. What they did is they went into a number of different companies and said, okay, so when you look at the different lean type methodologies that are in play, most of you have been through some sort of lean canvas indoctrination, whether it's Reese Ellis or any of the other guys. And you know, what they worked out is, depending on what stage you're at, there's different things that you should be doing. There's different things that you should be doing. And if you're doing the things that aren't relevant to the stage you're in, you might be burning energy, burning money, or burning cycles inappropriately. For fun, I used to climb mountains, and I walk slowly up mountains. And when I talk to my kids and my friends about it, they get all excited about, you know, either the climbing bit up the ice or the last bit with the oxygen at the top and all that. They all thought that bit was glamorous and everything else. The bit that they didn't see was the 3 months of hard slog before that, walking through the mud, not having proper food, lugging a heavy load of gear, you know, can't sleep, all sorts of physical and dietary issues going on. Got to be careful with the language. You know, all that horrible mucky stuff going on. But the bit that everybody wanted to talk about, geez, what was it like at the top? What about that last bit? They didn't see all the other stuff. And for any of you who are involved in sports, nobody hears about the training or the hard yards or the long nights. For any of you who are going through an education program, you know, the sacrifices you have to make along the way. When you're founding a business, the sacrifices you make along the way. Oh, you're a CEO, you're involved in an early stage company. Wow, that's brilliant. Nobody hears about the rest of it. Nobody understands the rest of it. So in life, there's different stages of things. There's things that are very glamorous and very important, like trying to work out how you're going to create a successful exit. You know, where will we buy the big house? The Bahamas or Acapulco, or I don't know, Monaco, wherever people. What type of yacht will we buy? What will the first company jet be? All that stuff's really good. There's other stages before that where you're trying to generate empathy with customers, stickiness with them, some level of virality. You're making good money, and then you're gone. And gone might mean there's other investors, or it gets really big, or you get to go to a 2-day week, or you get to go and retire and do something else, give 99% of your money for no tax benefit to charities in the future. So the metrics that you're measuring and the complexity within your sales and marketing engine will be determined by what stage you're at. I think most of you are sort of around about here. I'm going to go through these in a bit of detail, but the complexity of your engine and the sort of things you should be measuring should be determined by what stage you're at. So just to quickly whiz through the stages and the metrics, I'll come back to this one. Most of you are past this. Okay, so this is, have I discovered a purely met need that a reachable audience wants? So what do we do? What are we about? How do we roughly position it? Does anybody care? Going and talking to early prospects, signing a few deals, promising them whatever needs to be promised, taking some money off them, and then trying to work out, okay, how many of these people are there? Who is my customer? Do they care? And can I get them a product that'll encourage them to give me some money? Then after that, you get to a stickiness stage, which is they go, yeah, thanks, I bought that. That's actually not so bad. I'd like it to have a whole load more features. I don't like the color. Could you change the layout? Could you change the flow? But yeah, I sort of like this. I might give you some more money. Then you get to virality, which is, this is brilliant. I'm going to tell my friends. I'm going to tell my friends. We'll do virality separately. Virality is really, really hard. There's probably a half a dozen people in the world that I would trust to say, yeah, they know how to do virality. There's a whole load of people who've got some level of virality in their business. But there's a lot of luck and scrappiness in that. Repeatable virality is a unicorn. A unicorn, really hard to find. Really, really hard to find. In the old world, I used to remember talking to people who didn't believe in marketing and say, what do you do for marketing? It's all about word of mouth. What did they really mean? It means they didn't do anything. They were fortunate, lucky, or had heard that some people had said good things about them. So good people saying good things about your product or your service or your company isn't the same as having a word of mouth campaign. They're completely different things. A word of mouth campaign is well structured, it's well organized, it's well thought through, there's a process map, and there's been some money and people put against it. A lot of people kid themselves that virality is just happening by osmosis. And I'm sure none of you do it, but you might have some friends or have heard of other companies who do it, or you might have seen this happen. What does your marketing plan look like, or what's your virality plan, or what do you do to encourage, referrals or references? As soon as they start tapping their head and going, it's all in here, for me, that's normally first call of bullshit. Okay, when things are in people's heads, I could convince myself of almost anything. I'm sure most of you have had, or have friends who have had that experience through the years. In your head, you can convince yourself of anything. Start saying things out loud, bit of a moment of truth comes with that. Starts to get a bit more real. Hear yourself say it. Then if you write it down and share it with other people, then it starts to really get real. That in my world is when you start to have plans. And normally when we commercially go into companies and ask them, have you got a sales plan or sales processes or sales and marketing plans? After they do yes and give it a bit of that and that. I say, okay, so can you show me it? That's brilliant, can I see it? And then you see the panic and the scramble. You see the look of fear in their eyes, the retreat, the withdrawal, the shame. And what appears is a combination of things. Some of them have nice books. Some of them have nice PowerPoints. I've had things like this produced with writing on them. I've had some Post-its. And I've had some people go, actually, no, we haven't got anything. And that's okay. That's just about being realistic about it and understanding that things don't get real until they're written down and planned. So when you're at this stage and you're thinking, got it, got the first 10 customers, it's easy. It'll be all we can do to count the money. I just need to go and buy some cash registers now. That's it. And go get some tax advice of where I'm going to make sure I don't pay a whole lot of tax. Any of you who think that's scaling? For any of you that's happening in scaling, will you let me know? I've got a few quid I'd like to invest in you. Okay. For any of you who think it's happening but don't have a plan and don't have evidence, we might need to have a chat about that. When you're at revenue, this stage forward, when you're at revenue, your customer lifetime value is well exceeding your customer acquisition costs. The HubSpot guys, we'll talk about that in some more detail later. You look at the ratios and play there. That'll tell you that you're really making money. This is when you're on the cusp of scale. The business is past cash flow break even, cumulative cash flow back evens in the rear view mirror. You're now thinking about Series A, Series B funding. You optimize, you tweak, you look at different channels, you genuinely scaling the business out, apologies. And then after stage 5, you're into exit mode. You're genuinely into wealth management mode. So those are the sort of different stages. So what I'd like to challenge you at, this is the first of 3 exercises. I'm doing a pretty crap job of time management, but this is the first of 3 exercises. I'd just like to take a minute. Some of you are sitting in your company with your company folks, some of you aren't. If you want to shuffle chairs around and sit with your company folks, be good to get a view as we go around the table of what stage you think you're at. Okay? So just take a minute and have a think about that. And it's in the context of these stages. What stage do you think you're at? Okay, folks, can we bring the room back together? Okay, so there's no right and no wrong answers here. Sort of. I promise I'll try not to be too judgmental. One of the things that Gary alluded to earlier is that you will learn more of, I'm paraphrasing, you will learn more of each other than you'll learn from anybody else, whether it's me or anyone else with respect to the other folks who are coming in. You will learn more of each other. So part of what I'm going to try and encourage as we go through the bootcamp is how you folks challenge each other, learn from each other, stand on the shoulders of giants, and also feel free to constructively and robustly challenge each other. This is a safe environment. If you get challenged in this room or in the subsequent events that we're going to have, or with the people that you like, respect, admire, love, or infatuated with, or whatever, in the group, if you learn from that, that's much more powerful than anybody standing up here. Okay, so it's a safe room. And it's also okay to be robust with each other. I use really bad language, so I have to be sensitive. It's Tourette's, I'm borderline Tourette's. Okay, who'd like to volunteer to go first and share with the group? Hands up. Excellent, come on up the front, Killian. Come on up the front, please. Is there anyone else from the company with you? No. Just you? Okay, so the reason I'm asking Killian to come up to the front is so that he can read this a wee bit better. So Killian, what stage do you think you're at?
I think we're between virality and revenue.
Okay, so why do you think that?
Because we've got a fairly substantial customer
Okay.
The product is well established now.
Okay.
And developed, and it's been driven in terms of development by our customers and their needs.
Okay.
And we're seeing the same needs coming up. So we're not customizing for individuals, but we're moving with the industry. We're not losing customers. Our churn rate is pretty low.
Okay. Okay. So what is your churn rate?
It's 4%
Per year, per month?
per year.
4% per year. That's very good. How many customers do you have?
About 400.
How many customers do you need to have before you get to be a gazillionaire?
I'll never be a gazillionaire. But
Don't.
We're looking for about 1,500 customers.
So what happens at 1,500 customers?
There'll be an exit strategy.
There'll be an exit strategy. Okay. So just for the audience, so what stage are you at? If you had to choose one?
I'd say virality.
You're somewhere in virality.
Yeah.
Okay. So at the virality stage, what this says is I've built the right product, features and functionality that keeps users around. They like it, they come and stay. And then after that, what's happening is you're going from virality into revenue. The users and features fuel growth organically and artificially. So what's starting to happen at this stage in Killian's business is that customers are leading design, are very influential in design. Growth is happening, and the unexpected surprises are happening. Someone's just come along and signed up today. Does that happen?
Small bit, not as much.
A small bit of that. Okay. So what sort of key metrics are you measuring at this stage in the business, in the sales and marketing side of the business?
Sales and marketing side. So we're measuring on the marketing side. We're measuring our hit rate to our website and the increases in it.
Hit rates to the website. Okay, that's about here.
And responsiveness to our social sharing of content.
Inherent sharing. So you're here. The business is here, and you're measuring stuff that are here and here.
On the marketing side, yeah.
Okay, cool.
On sales, we're measuring sales cycle duration, conversion rates, win rates, average deal size, renewal rates, churn.
Okay, and besides pure revenue, what's the single biggest sales and marketing metric that you measure?
Besides revenue?
Yeah. Pure landed revenue.
No, actually. Is there anything?
Thank you. That's a brilliant answer. Okay, so where Killian's at, and thank you for volunteering to go first, where Killian's at is that you start to accumulate all of these different things that you're measuring, and if you're not careful, you just get very good at measuring a whole load of stuff. I ran a chunk of Microsoft in EMEA at 27 countries, and they were scrubbed once a month, and the spreadsheets, God love them. I sat on the other side of the fence when I was in Ireland. The spreadsheets we got scrubbed on, you're probably like this in Oracle, were about the size of that wall. You know, and we used to think we were clever sitting in the head office where the pure subsidiary would get on the phone and we'd have all the other metrics from all the other countries. We could go, oh, Harry, hang on a second, you think you're doing a great job? Your info path attach rates on this type of customer and that type of licensing plan, it's a bit out of whack. What's going on? And when I was younger and more foolish, I would try to answer it. Oh, well, here, really what I should have said, I have no clue. I have no idea. And you know what, I don't really care that much. And if you want me to start thinking about, you know, what's sitting here in cell AE 116, I will. But I've already thought of 4 or 5 other things that are important. And those are the things that are going to matter to me. And I think in your businesses, you need to adopt the same mentality where you'll accumulate a lot of tag-along metrics that you could be measuring. And it's really, really important that you work out the ones that you should. And Killian's honesty there is a reflection with where I would suspect a number of you or your friends or people that you know are at, where you're accumulating a lot of numbers to measure. And if you're not careful, you'll be measuring the wrong stuff. Because the stuff that's important to measure when you're at that stage of virality is the inherent sharing. And starting to think about viral coefficients. Because if that's what's fueling the growth, that's where you should spend most of your time. That's not to say the other stuff's not interesting, but that's the critical one. That's the critical one. Killian, thanks for volunteering to go first, but how we're going to do volunteering from now on, now that you volunteered,
Pick somebody.
you get to pick whoever goes next. Who would you like to pick?
Ryan.
Ryan, up you get. Thank you. Thanks, Killian. Did anybody disagree, by the way, with where Killian was at? Everybody did? They're just being too nice yet? Okay. That would have been a good question.
Right.
What stage are you at?
I think we're pretty much between stickiness and virality in that we figured out a pretty good solution to have a bunch of customers, and we have customers that are renewing. So since we started,
So what
we're
did-
not at the virality stage yet. Though.
Sorry, just remind the room, what problem do you solve?
Vulnerability management. So we've a SaaS-based vulnerability management platform where we probe people's websites, servers, whatever, for security vulnerabilities. And then we have a team of engineers in our SOC go through all the results, make sure everything is a real vulnerability, publish it all to a portal, clients log in, see what risk rated by a human, what's,
Okay, great, that's enough, that's enough.
exactly.
Sorry, that's enough.
There you go.
He's available for hire later on.
Yeah,
He's got a
yeah.
200 slide version of that presentation, but that's very good. Apologies for walking across you.
No.
So what stage do you think you're at again? Sorry.
I would say between stickiness and virality.
And if you had to pick one, if you were forced to get off the fence and pick one, where do you think you're at?
Does
It's a very
this-
common answer. We're
does
somewhere
this
between here and there.
mean that you're at that stage or you're moving to that stage?
That's the gate needed to move forward.
Okay.
So you can only go from stickiness to virality when you've built the right.
I'm the pessimist at heart, so let's say stickiness.
Good. It's good to be a pessimist. I would call it being appropriately challenging, because what could happen, especially when you're in early stage mode, don't be going away yet,
No.
is you lose the run of yourself and you think, oh, we're fine, we've got it all sorted. I need to just buy cash registers. It's better to be clinical and critical and put yourself back a stage and be a bit paranoid about it, and then only move forward when you're sure. Okay? So where do you think you are again?
Stickiness.
Why?
I'm not sure.
Okay, good answer.
Yeah.
Okay, good answer. Why do you think?
Why do I think?
Why do you think you're at stickiness stage? Why do you say that?
Well, I don't know. I just,
Okay.
That's what my gut tells me on that stickiness. So,
Trust in the gut.
yeah.
Trust in the gut. Emotionally, gut's good to trust. In business or in anything you're going to do repeatably and scalably, your gut's your enemy.
I'm going to disagree.
Put it this way.
great.
I thought maybe in my head this morning before we came in, I was a little bit further, but after everything you've sort of spoken about, I'm kind of like, I'm back a little bit maybe.
Okay, and why do you think?
Well, I pretty much look at all the metrics.
Okay,
You know, and I'm obsessed with them to some degree still.
good.
I think we have built the right product, and we have users, and we have renewals for the last 2 years. We have never lost a client. And looking at the metrics, like message open rates and stuff like that, they're the things that I'm always looking at now. Word of mouth sharing. I'm not sure what viral coefficient cycle time means, to be honest.
Okay,
Inherent sharing. The security industry that we're involved in is very small, and we've built a very strong, I suppose, brand and name in the last couple of years, and people are coming to us.
okay.
So I'm sort of thinking virality more than stickiness, but we never agree anyway.
We don't, so.
Okay, so this is good, this is new language. It's only one slide, there's a 300-page book. It's only one slide. What's interesting here is it's really okay to have different perceptions of where you're at, because there'll be a lens through which every individual will look at it with their own bias. So you might actually think you're at revenue. If what you want to, I'm not saying it's any of you, but if what you want to build is a nice, cozy 2-3 million a year business, that throws off enough money to fund a lifestyle, you could think you're at revenue. If however you're thinking, no, I want a 300 million a year business, and I need to make and break systems to get me to there, you might actually think, I'm actually somewhere between empathy and stickiness. All that I've done is signed up a first wave of early adopters. I've done that well, that's sort of working. But for me to get the scale, I need to crack America. America was mentioned a fair amount. I need to crack this, that, whatever it happens to be. It could be a geography, a segment of customers, a new product. We've done a good job selling the first product, but where we really monetize is the second dream product. So the monetization of the first product, the first market, the first segment might actually convince you that at a company level you're here, where really you're only here at a product line level. So the lens through which you look at it can be interesting. I'm not saying that's where you guys are, I'm taking that out to the general. So there's a bias piece of it. So if you're obsessed about the metrics, apologies for pointing, what's the key metric that you look at?
Renewal, churn.
Geez, why do you keep looking at churn? You don't have any.
I know, but that's why
So it's always good to look at. Oh, we're at 100% again. We're doing a great job. Look, we're doing a great job. It's all fine. Look, it's all fine. Is that a bus? Apologies.
No, I think upselling as well, because we have a number of different licenses for our product. So, things like, are our clients buying more than they did last year?
Okay.
Are they onboarding more of their systems to our service than they did last year?
Okay.
Those things are important. But the big problem we have is that we want to get outside of UK and Ireland, and that we
Okay.
can,
Scaling.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Okay, thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
worries. To pick.
Would you like to pick?
Yeah.
Will we let him pick? No, sorry, will you let him pick? Who says he's allowed to pick? Yes, yes. If yes, he's allowed to pick, put your hand up.
I don't really mind, doesn't matter.
No, he's not allowed to pick, put your hand up. Okay, so yes, you're allowed to pick. Sitting on the fence isn't an option in this.
Cool.
Okay, so yes, you get to pick.
Apologies, but Brendan.
Brendan. Okay, so just while Brendan's coming up here, just to explain what a viral coefficient is. A viral coefficient is, I'll do cycle time separately. A viral coefficient is, I know that if I sign up one customer, I will get another 3. So it's where you have inherent sharing. So whether it's something like Dropbox or Facebook, if I'm on Dropbox, I start sending you all something that's on Dropbox. If you haven't got Dropbox, you probably have to sign up for an account to get it. So that gives me a viral coefficient of 1 to 19. So my viral coefficient would be 19 in that example. Brendan, the floor is yours. What stage are you at?
Firstly, we use.
Oh, good man. Well done. Well done.
Next year's renewal is at a risk now for that little throwing up here. I'd say we're between virality, I can't even say the word, and revenue.
Okay, why do you think that?
We've a large enough customer base.
It's large enough. I know Brendan of Foles, so I'm gonna go for him a wee bit. Large enough? How big's large enough?
450, 500 customers.
Okay, cool. Is this making you a gazillionaire, or what's the gazillionaire number for customers?
10,000.
10,000. So you're 5% of the way there.
Yeah.
That's large enough.
For now.
Okay, cool, great.
We've.
I'm just going to be the exemplar of how you should feel comfortable challenging Brendan and yourselves around the room, and Brendan will take this in the respectful manner from which it's offered, even if the language, style and translation doesn't come across as such. Brendan knows I come in peace. Brendan knows I come in peace.
Yeah.
Okay, so keep going.
We've negative churn rates. We now have customers coming and signing directly up without any interaction. We get about 20% referrals, so word of mouth is working quite well. We've a good lifetime value, like cost of acquisition ratio of 15 to 1. They'd be the kind of main things
Okay.
that spring to mind at the moment.
So if you had to pick where you are, because you're the third person who said we're between X and Y. So if you had to pick one, where are you?
I'd agree with you say earlier, like in the bigger scheme of things, you could obviously pull yourself back, but just purely on the metrics and gates and things like that, I think we're at revenue.
You think you're at revenue?
Yeah.
Okay, and what's the key metric you're measuring? If you had to pick one, what's the one?
Non-revenue.
Non-revenue, non-pure landed revenue.
Lead velocity would probably, and number of demos would be the 2 key ones that we would track very closely. So
Okay,
increase in inbound leads is the key thing right now.
okay, cool. Thank you.
We're all inbound pretty much, so it's people come to
Okay.
us.
Cool. Anybody, any comments or questions for Brendan? Any alternate views? You got off easy. Thanks, Brendan. Thanks for that. Thanks for sharing. I know we're only going to start to try and embed this. These should be discussions, and it's okay to ask why. I don't think so, or are you sure? Or I think that's. Sorry, the camera's still on. As harsh a language as you feel happy to share, and you feel that you can, have received by the other party without them throwing something at you. Challenge robustly. So what's interesting coming out of the context, some observations from me, quite naturally, because it's a new framework that some of you might have seen before, it's okay to sort of hedge a little. I think I'm somewhere between, for example, this point and this point. These are very different stages, so it's important that you work out where you are. It's okay to be, if this is linear, it's okay to say, I'm nearly at the end of virality, I'm nearly at the interface to revenue, but you know what, I'm still in virality. So I should be obsessing out about the virality metrics and getting ready to measure the revenue metrics. These other metrics up here are table stakes. That's for other people really to manage and obsess about. You want summary views of those, but as founders, marketeers, financiers, builders of engines, you need to be working out and spending most of your time like that, thinking about the metrics that relate to the stage that you're in. Otherwise, you're focusing on the wrong stuff. See, when the pilots land in the plane, I want them to be focused on the runway and what's important about that. The rest of the stuff, I'm not that bothered what he's thinking about. You should be thinking the same way. As you're going from stage to stage, point to point, what's the obsessive stuff to be measuring at that time? Be conscious of the rest of it, but be obsessive about that point in time stuff. I used to have a clicker. Oh, there it is. There. See, I told you I was getting old. Just time checking. We are at, what time is it? Can anybody tell me what time it is? What time are you throwing me off at? Great, thanks. 4 o'clock, great. Okay, you're going to get all these slides, so there's a lot of stuff on it. Okay, so the customer journey. So this isn't the customer journey as it pertains to the customer using the product or the service. That's a different part of this program altogether. So the language is sort of similar. This is the customer's journey from, I don't know anything about you, I've never heard of you, through to, you're brilliant, I've got a high viral coefficient, I'm going to tell the whole world how brilliant you are, great word of mouth campaign, this is amazing, okay? So there's a journey that goes along there. And, you know, what we have to be very conscious of, I don't have any of the glass in front of me, when consumers, who are also business people, when consumers are looking at options, engaging with brands, being marketed to, exploring, searching, the first place they're generally doing it at the minute is in, is in a small piece of glass. They might then move on to a medium-sized, tablet-y sort of piece of glass, and they'll have another piece of glass in the house, which is, you know, a PC, an Apple, or whatever at home. Or if you get to my stage, you need something that you can actually read properly, because I can't stretch my arms anymore to read the small piece of glass. But you'll experience and engage with brands, with marketing messages in many different ways. And you will then evaluate them, think about them, and then you'll maybe experience them, and then you'll maybe make a purchase. Maybe. That's what you do in your consumer lives. That's what you all do. For any of you who are old enough to have teenage kids, watch them do it. It's frightening. It's absolutely frightening. Seeing how many things they do, how they experience things, how they make decisions, and what they're comfortable about doing. Security for them is sort of a non-existent thing. They don't care. My 18-year-old daughter will almost share anything, buy anything, provide credit card details on the small piece of glass. My 21-year-old's a bit more conservative, but he's a boy. He's 21, going on 12, bless him. You know, and it's going to be scary. They're going to be in the workforce soon, and that's how they're going to experience brands. And if you look at what you do and how you, if you think about it, last time you bought something, how did you buy it? I ask you to reflect on that outside of today, but how did you buy it? It probably wasn't with 20 salespeople coming knocking on your door. Probably wasn't. You might have went and talked to a couple of people. You probably did a bit of research. You experienced the brand in some way, experienced the offering in some way, and then you made a buying decision. Then you engaged in it. Then you decided whether you wanted to keep using it or not. So, you know, this concept of the consumer, the customer, the user, the influencer, and the partner, there's a journey. In this example, in this picture, told you I did pictures. This picture from left to right, this is a real live example. It's not mine, it's Robbed, but it's a real live example of different types of customers and how they're going to be sold to. How they're going to be sold to. And this is the company trying to work out, well, how does the customer go about making that buying decision? How do they go from, I've never heard of you, to you're marketing and selling to me, to I'm using it, I've bought it, I've paid for it, and I'm going to keep paying for it and tell other people about it. You've got a number of different ways you can go in and try and engage with the customer while they're going through that process. You can market to them, and you can market to them in 2 modes. Digital marketing, online will be a big part of what a lot of you are doing. Offline marketing, so non-digital marketing. You know, there is still marketing that goes on that isn't purely digital. Many thanks to Newstalk for sponsoring the room and the coffee today. Telesales, inbound or outbound people, and field sales. Those are broadly the 4 asset categories at your disposal to try and sell or market to the customer along that journey. And if you think about those different people, I've shrunk the format a bit so I can get it all on the screen. So this is a customer. This is a customer's journey. It'll go through a number of stages. This is the person who gives you the money. There'll be a similar but probably different journey for the user. They'll go through a number of different stages. And then there's the influencer or the partner. I'm just shrinking it so that we can actually workshop some of this today. There'll be a number of different stages involved. I've got some big complex spreadsheets about this. These are pictures. So as an example, what does this really look like? So this is a fictitious customer. If you can read this on the right-hand side, I've read a blog. I heard about this somewhere. It was in an e-zine. I'm not really sure whether it was advertorial, full review, paid for, but I heard something about it, read something about it. Then somebody sent me a DM piece. I got a direct mail about it. I clicked on something. I landed on a website. I watched the video. I signed up for a trial. I converted to being a paying customer. I renewed my contract, my subscription, my usage, whichever it is, and I've referred a friend. Okay, so that's a fairly typical sort of example of a sort of a B2C or a B to small b, i.e. a low ticket price or a low transaction price purchase. And for me, when I'm the customer, I'm in discovery mode for a while. So this is where I'm thinking about it. I'm working stuff out. There's then a sales part of the process, and then we're in the customer success. This is, you've got me. You know, I'm trying it, I'm using it. Now, I'll judge you and I'll repeat or refer based on how this works out for me as we're going through the success page. So, adding another layer of complexity to the right-hand side, if you turn those customer stages into the resources required, so for me to read a blog, for me as the customer, I'm going to be the customer here, right? For me to read a blog on this offering, the company that's trying to sell to me, they need to have some sort of content marketing capability or system. Capability or system, probably both. If you want me to experience, or you think the best way for me to experience what you're doing is for me to receive a DM piece with an embedded link to take me to the website, probably to have some sort of outbound mailing system. Constant Contact, MailChimp, something like that. There's loads of them out there. If you want me to land on it, pattern recognize, top left, bottom right, around about 2 seconds, but mostly it's pattern recognition now. People aren't even reading it. It's patterns. I see the pictures. I've seen a couple of buzzwords. Yeah, I think I'm in the right place. Where's the video? That's it. They ain't reading it. I have a business that's involved in building responsive websites and running marketing campaigns on it. And some of the classic mistakes are we see these websites that have got just tons of stuff on it. And people are kidding themselves thinking that people are going to read it. Customers are going to read it. They don't. Don't read it. Pattern recognition. Where's the video? Am I in the right place? Where's the video? That's it. A couple of seconds. And apologies again. And on this piece of glass, it's even worse. It's 100% pattern recognition. That's it. Show them the picture, convince them they're in the right place, offer them the next action. Anything else is distracting. Anything else is creating friction in the process. Apologies again. So you better have a responsive website. I land on it, it's the right type of website, provisioned across multiple device types. I'm seeing websites or web content come up on the phone that I can't read, or it's overlapping, or I'm gone. Whether it's a provisioned ad, a piece of material, or whatever. The video better be good, better be short, better be snappy, and it better have a couple of points within it that I can hop off. Okay, seen it, got it. I'm either gone, which is the easy one to get out of, or I want to take the next step. So if your video trying to convince me to go a stage further is 30 seconds long or 2 minutes long, we'll have a conversation about that some other day. 30 seconds is long enough. You need to have embedded within that video a couple of points where I can go, okay, I got it, what's the next step? If I've got it and I want to go forward, do not make me wait to the end of the 2-minute video for me to say, please, somebody contact me. For the love of God. You know why? Because I'll probably go. Okay, I get it. Give me. Okay, yeah. I can't be bothered. Gone. That's what happens. Have a think about it. You do this. Your friends do this. So give me, I want it now. Give me the wow. Give me the sizzle. Don't save it for the end. Don't save the sizzle for the end. You're kidding yourself if you're doing the build-up for the grand finale. And now that you've heard of it, if you'd like it, the audience is gone. Give them the sizzle right up front. I'm ranting. In the video, you better make sure that you're offering me a couple of, 3's the right number, 3 chances to move to the next stage. You ready to book a demo? Can we contact you? You see sophisticated companies where it happens, where the chat box pops up at the right time in the video? That's not coincidence, that's planned. Usually about the 9th or 10th second. Got it, want more, book me a demo, let me talk to your rep, let me give you some money. Okay. Then what do you need if you're the company? Again, you need resources, systems. This is people and systems. To then provision. If you're going to make me that offer to chat to someone, to sign up for a trial, you better make sure it works. You better make sure there's a provisioning system there, that when I press the button to do that, You don't take me to a big long form to fill in. It should be quick, it should be snappy, and a provisioning system behind it that sets me up for a trial account, a user account, or the ability to purchase. Okay, if you've got me to this stage and I'm trialing, how do you convert me to paid? Maybe what you do at that stage is you've got my email address and you unleash the telesales, telemarketing team on me. Hey, how you doing? I'm Harry from Salesforce. Just following up. Seen you were on our webinar. Love to have a chat with you. Anything I can help you with? We're helping companies like yours. Please let me have a chat with you. Please engage. Okay, that's the telesales, telemarketing people trying to bring into play some sort of one-to-one engagement to get you over the line. For sure, the further you can automate people, the cheaper the experience might be, but where they need to be deployed, deploy them. If you measure it and find out that you fall off a cliff by leaving this to just pure email, and it's automated and people can work out that there's not a person on the other end, you know, if you get a better return by putting somebody on the end of the phone, put somebody on the end of the phone. So Salesforce do it. Salesforce has done a really good job of taking a lot of old world field salespeople and letting them make a better living by sitting working the phone. Instead of going to 2 meetings a day, you make 30 phone calls a day, probably make the same money you did having to buy your suits and drive around in your car. Telesales is not low end, it's not cheap, it's a very important part of the machinery. If it needs to be there, it needs to be properly provisioned, properly resourced. And then there's how do you do renewals? Auto renews. We'll do contracts another day, and Ian can give us some advice on this. You know, is it a monthly contract? Is it an annual contract? Is it a rollover contract? Does it need to be renewed? What if it's not renewed? Does your contract match your pricing? How do you recognize the revenue in the back of that? There's a whole load of stuff around contracts, but how do you do renewals? Just send me the bill. I worked for Microsoft. That's what Microsoft did. Send you the bill, the invoice. Thanks for that couple of $100,000 a year. Here's another bill. Please pay it or we're switching you off. That tends not to work very well these days. And then how do you do referral friends? Do you have some sort of viral enablement? Is it active? Is it proactive? Have you somebody who's worked out a word of mouth campaign? Or is it just happening by osmosis? So if you look at these different modes between discovery or marketing, sales and success, if you look at the customer steps, there's a bunch of resources and systems required there. And here's why the resources and systems are important, because if that's not automated and there's not a system behind it, one, there's probably not a real plan, okay? It's all right not to have a plan, but just be cognizant. If there's not a plan, you probably can't scale it. And if there's not technology or tools sitting behind it, it's going to be really, really hard for you to measure it. You'll be running the business on spreadsheets, interpretations of spreadsheets, inconsistent math, inconsistent definitions, and you'll not have a clear view of what's happening. Not having systems here is the equivalent of the pilot flying the plane with one arm out the window, which I'm not really that uncomfortable about, so long as it doesn't need to be in a pressurized environment or the door's well locked. But you see when he's landing it, I'd really like him to have two hands on the wheel and sort of know what he's doing. I'd be looking at the dials and the instruments and do a really good job of it. That's the important piece. The systems are really important. You can't do this well, you can't do it safely, and you can't iterate and improve it unless you have systems sitting behind it. Sound like a bit of a rant, didn't it? Okay, cool. So we're nearly ready for doing some work. So what I'd like you to do, I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do this, is to start with the customer, but in time I'm going to ask you to do it for customers, users, influencers, and partners. Start with the customer and try and work out for me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, in 8 to 10 steps. What's your customer journey look like in this sort of mode from I've never heard about you to I love you? And then we're going to ask for some volunteers. And the good news is for those who didn't volunteer or be volunteered already, you will be the pool from which the next round of volunteers will come from, and we'll be looking for somebody to kick that off. So 5 minutes tops, try and work out what does that customer journey look like. From I've never heard of you to I love you. You might currently call these the stages in your sales process, but your sales process is about you. I'm thinking about the customer. How does the customer experience it? What's the customer's journey? Sorry, and one last thing, sorry, apologies. Can we make this really, really real? So can we make this here's how it happens today. Here's how it happens today. Not how you might model it or how you'd like it to look. Here's how it actually happens today. 8 to 10 steps, 5 minutes. Okay, who'd like to go first? You're Simply, aren't you? Or
No,
sorry,
we're-
apologies.
We're Compass.
Compass. Okay, cool. Okay, folks. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is listen to what. So if you just give us a, you're going to ask you to give us a quick reminder of the offering, then walk us through the customer journey from discovery through to success, and then I'd like you to practice your challenging skills. Okay?
So again, my name is Mark and I'm from Work Compass, so we provide an online employee management software platform. So for our customer journey, this is kind of flipped on its head. We're essentially casting a massive net and trying to get back a couple of fish, and that's really based on time. So we're trying to find people who are just about to set off on this journey, about looking into increasing their employees' performance. So what we do, it's mostly around email marketing. So we would catch people at the right time.
So Polly, so I'm going to stand beside you and just help to frame this.
So the journey begins with an email that will go out to the clients or the prospects, and on the back of those emails.
So if I'm the customer, the first thing I get, I haven't read anything, never heard of you. Okay, so I'm not judging, I'm just asking questions to clarify, okay?
So we'd send out emails, like fair few emails on a weekly basis.
Where did you get the?
So
That's good, keep it coming, we're learning how to do this, this is good.
So we employ someone to scrape emails for us. We'd send out roughly 1,000 on a weekly basis that would be scheduled. So if they don't reply to the first one, they get another and another. On the back of that, we'd be looking at anywhere from 5 to 15 initial calls set up with the prospects. So when we catch them there, there's already a certain, for the majority of those initial calls, there's already a certain amount of interest
Okay.
generated, not around us, but around what we're selling.
Okay, so if I'm the customer, and again, this is about the customer,
Yeah.
what a lot of companies, and it's not you, but a lot of companies just think about what they're going to do. This is about thinking about what does the customer want, okay? So and what does the customer experience? So I'm the customer, I get a mail out of the blue, unsolicited.
Yeah.
Then what happens to me next?
Then telesales kicks in, so we have a meeting set up.
Okay,
And it's that meeting, we have to guide them through this process. If we were to just,
okay.
I think we'd go out of business if we were to just wait for that process.
Okay, so this is just an example. Okay, so this is just, this is genuinely about picking the right process that works for you. That might mean trying a few process tweaks and iterations and finding what works best. So there is, like I said at the start, there is no one model to do this. This is just an example. So I'm just clarifying the example. So the first thing that happens is if I'm the customer, I get a mailing and then I get a phone call. Is that how it happens?
Yeah, so that's a scheduled phone call with the customer. They'll agree in the reply to the email.
So I reply to the email. So I get the email
Yeah.
and I have to reply to it.
Yeah.
Then someone,
Then I'll give them a call.
you give them the call.
At the designated time, and then we'll bring them through that discovery.
Okay, so hang on a sec. Okay, so I get the mailing, I get a phone call. Then what happens after that?
So then I'll go through, it's a discovery call. So I'll ask them their challenges, what they're trying to achieve, and then we move on to a demo from there.
So it's a demo. So it's a mailing, then a phone call, then a demonstration. Then what happens after the demonstration?
We typically have a proposal call, go into the likes of ROI and whatnot, and then it could be a pilot, trial, contract.
Okay,
It changes.
okay,
Quite
cool.
a lot, but
Thank you. Okay, so what apologies, sorry, what's your name again?
sorry, Mark.
Mark, apologies. So I sort of had everybody's names, but then I asked people to move, and then it was gone for me. Okay, so what Mark's describing there is probably going to be not uncommon to what a lot of you have, where you have a number of the moving parts, and you apply them in a way that's led by, sounds like the person on the phone will decide how best to deploy the moving parts. Is it the same person who does the demo who does the ROI call?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, with the ROI as well, like that's something we've already brought in a couple of times.
Okay, no, that's
One
fine.
One of the examples of the tools that we could bring in.
What you do is really good, right? So I would imagine that you could scare the hell out of a lot of HR managers or owners with a single breach or a single claim. I mean, it could be a fear. There's nothing like selling on fear, uncertainty, doubt, or compliance. Brilliant. They're the easiest, most compelling things to sell on. So selling on any, you can actually sell on. Your challenge is picking which of those four you sell them on, as opposed to pure value. Anyway, So I think that process, my observation is the process sounds a little bit fluid. What do you guys think? What did you hear?
What do you mean fluid, sorry?
If I asked to see that scripted process that I could wheel 20 people in a room, if I could clone Mark 20 times and say, okay, do this, here's the playbook, do it. I doubt that there's a playbook.
No, it's ever changing.
Okay.
Each deal requires a different approach to it, but that in general, that would be the approach.
Okay.
we take.
Mark,
So-
can I ask you, does all the 1,000 emails are they identical?
Well, no, we've chopped and changed, and there's been a lot of trial and error.
So like what would prompt me to request that meeting with you?
I think it's down to timing. So at any given moment, there is X amount of companies that are in the market for a performance management software platform, and it's just a matter of trying to find it. So the bigger the net that you cast, hopefully the more calls that you get back out of that.
But back my question, so who do you scrape? HR managers? What type of
HR manager and up, non-government. The rest is fair game.
Did you say you said 1,000 a week instead of a week?
1,000 a week.
Many replies that you back there?
Anywhere between, we'd set up anywhere between 5 on a bad week, arrange meetings on a bad week, 15 on a good week.
Does that 1,000 include bumps, or is that 1,000 individual emails?
Well, no, there'd be 1,000 emails sent out, we'd probably have about 10% bounce rate on that.
So it's the bumps of the email, the second and third wave.
Oh, sorry, yeah, no, first one, you get very few. Third, second, third, fourth, you get that, so like,
But just in terms of the 1,000 number that you're sending out to, is that 1,000 individual people or 1,000 emails?
no individual people, not necessarily individual companies. So the mistake I made before is, if in sales capacity, is just sending out that one email, might send out another one, and then it stop. Whereas the initial meeting that you will get set up comes from the third contact, the fourth contact.
Sorry, just
One more question.
is that whole process automated, so you should keep the
A lot of it, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty unmanageable to be able to send out all those follow-up emails by yourself.
Okay, Mark, can I ask you a couple of questions? What mail system do you use?
Yes, and we're using HubSpot as well.
Okay, what other systems do you use for the rest of the steps in the process?
Yeah, well, HubSpot's our CRM. And we've Yesware to send out the mails, Zoom info for the contacts, and then yeah, I live in LinkedIn as well a lot. So
Okay.
they'd be the primary tools
Stalking.
we're using at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so the lack of clarity yet on a scalable, repeatable process is enabling Mark and the rest of the guys to do a good job of getting customers over the line. But the challenge is, if you spend too much time in that mode, you'll just get better of doing that. I'm not judging that. And because the context will apply to everyone else, and the message that Mark needs to take back to the business and the stakeholders is, okay, how do we keep doing that in the short term, and explore how to do that at scale?
But this is the thing, we're well aware that this cannot continue forever. We get to a certain stage where we run out of contacts to target, and then you've got to get more into this model of creating the need, finding the pain, going through that, which I think the way we're targeting at the moment is trying to pick out the lowest hanging fruit. But we will have to move on to something like that.
And what will be interesting in your world is that the customer might actually be multiple customers. Never mind users, influencers, partners, there might actually be multiple customers. So how you sell to a medium-sized company that doesn't have a soup to nuts HR system might be different to how you sell to a 5 to 10 person SME. There might actually be different processes with potentially different systems. And I would challenge Mark and the rest of you to look at this from the customer's eyes. So how do they experience it? And ask yourselves and them, is that the right way for them to get it? By the right way, I mean the best way. How do they want to experience it? It's amazing what you'll find out when you ask them. It's amazing. How would you like to? Because if I was thinking about a performance management system, I'd imagine when a lot of companies think about it is when, Christ, I wish I had one because I'm about to be sued, or I've got an issue, or I'm dealing with a problem, when actually really they need to have had the system 12 months before that to have built a pattern. So the timing in Mark's land is hard because the timing the customer might really want it isn't it? At that time, they actually need a good lawyer, not a performance management system. So how that's messaged is really, really important. Okay, Mark, thanks for sharing. Who would you like to go next? It has to be somebody else gone before.
Anybody want to go next?
Oh, I love it. Ian. Thanks, Mark. So just while Ian's coming up the front, just a time check with you. We're going to be breaking for a coffee after this. It's coming up to 20 to 11. Des from Qualtrics is in at 11. So there'll be time to get a coffee, bio break, and whatever else. Okay. Then we're going to run through 2 more sessions to take us through to 1 o'clock, which is lunch. Okay, Ian. So can you just walk us through for a typical customer, from the customer's perspective, what the journey's like? From I haven't heard anything about Legal Shine to I love it.
So our customer is usually either the general counsel or the head of legal in a organisation with kind of revenues of $1 billion and up, typically.
Okay.
To have it spent large enough to have systems.
Okay, so I'm putting myself in that mode, so I'm now that legal counsel sitting in that company.
So generally speaking, you will have heard from us by direct approach through our own network. So we're directly emailing the heads of legal through warm contacts.
So I'll get a direct mailing. The reason this is a small D is that it's not a DM piece necessarily. It's not a hey, how you doing? It's a direct, but it's an email to me, but it's conscious, thought out, planned, and almost unique.
Yeah, and more often than not a referral. So it'll be somebody we've met at a conference or something like that, or through our own warm network.
Okay.
So we're very early stage, so we've kind of.
Which works best? And the reason I'm going to ask Ian some difficult questions, but apologies, it'll hop around a bit. So a referral email for me is completely different to a personalised email.
Okay.
In your business, which one works best? Do you know?
A referral email.
Okay.
Always, yeah.
So what example are you going to use through here? A referral one or a direct email?
Well, let's say referral.
Okay, cool, got it. So there's a referral happens. I've got a referral email. You've probably got them, which is, hey Harry, Ian thought it would be a good idea to drop you a mail. I'll read that email. Not just because it's Ian and he's special and I love him, like him. It's as soon as I see that referral piece at the top, I'm going, okay, I'll read this. When it's, hey Harry, don't you think it's, so when I see the personalized email, but it's not a referral, I scan that. I don't read it, I scan it. But when I see it's from Ian, I'll read it. And most of your customers, I would imagine, are the same. Okay, so referral email is very different to a personalized email. Okay, so I've got the email, then what happens next for me?
Then you'll decide to or not to have either a kind of a Skype call or a face-to-face meeting, which is typically substantial, what we call a qualified meeting.
Okay, so you, as Legal Shine, ask me which of those 2 things I would prefer. So I'm the legal counsel.
Well, sorry, no. We'll say let's set up a meeting, and then you will decide whether it's when you want to have face-to-face or you prefer to have it with Skype.
Okay, which works best for you?
Go face-to-face.
Okay, so it's a referral email. You're asking for face-to-face meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I get that ask, and then what do I do next? I say yes or no. If I say yes, what happens?
We schedule the meeting, and then it happens.
We meaning you Legal Shine. That's not me, is it?
Yeah.
So you can.
Well, we arrange with you the time that suits.
Okay.
And then we come out and we meet you.
Is that does that engagement with me to set up the slot happen by email with a machine, or is it? Typically active email back and forth, not by machine. And will it be the field salesperson who's going to come to see me who actually organises that? Okay, so the field salesperson will organise the slot. Okay, they'll come out and see me. Then what happens?
Then there is sometimes a second meeting, and sometimes straight moving to pilot, and then there's a 2-month pilot, and then at the end of the pilot, move to contract.
Okay, and so there's people involved to set up the pilot? There's technical people?
Yeah.
Okay, so will I meet some other folks, or is this a low touch thing?
No, well, it's low touch in the setup, but you'll be liaising with the
that person who came out to meet me?
Who made
okay, so we're still in that, it's a field salesperson, it's not on that list. I then sign up, then what happens? Then who engages with me in the success world?
So we have a customer success. We have a customer success / legal analyst person / account manager.
Okay.
They're essentially customer
so
success.
I then get somebody else talking to me,
Yeah.
tell me how to optimize.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That sounds good. Okay. Is that documented?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. You had to think about that.
No, well, I'm sorry, I guess I'm mixing up different ways we've been doing it. So I mean,
Okay.
we've only got kind of 6 customers altogether, so
Okay.
we've only gone through this a certain number of times. We haven't
Okay.
got-
So you're still at the stage of tuning this.
Yeah.
Iterating it lasts forever, but you're still in the stage of almost formulating it. So you're not at the stage where there's a playbook. You could hand it to 20 people and say,
No, absolutely not.
here you go, good luck. Okay, cool. What systems do you have supporting it?
We have nothing for marketing. We send mails directly, and we use a thing called Pipedrive as our CRM.
Okay. Okay, so you're light on tools, but yours is a relatively low volume of customers, reasonably high ticket price, so you can live for a while without systems, but it won't be able to scale without the systems, because you can't see what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What do you guys think?
Can I ask Ian what I will currently be spending my money on if I haven't got your service?
It's not.
Other people, or
There isn't a direct kind of part of the budget that's spent on spend management. So that kind of number doesn't exist unless you have one of our competitors in the States.
okay, sorry, you introduced a new concept.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the way
So typically maybe money might have been spent on consultants, or money might be spent on additional staff to kind of to process invoices. But other than that, there isn't a direct correlation between what we're doing. So it's a new concept in a lot of ways.
Can I ask you, Harry, just quickly,
Sure.
because that's the challenge we're facing as well.
Yep.
We're competing with the status quo rather than with.
Yep.
So people aren't sitting there saying, well, I think I'll go out and buy
Yep.
an onboarding system for contractors. They're doing something different.
Yep.
How do you get, because we're struggling with the inbound
Yep.
marketing piece for that reason.
Yep.
You know, people aren't going looking for, well, is there a better way of doing what I'm doing?
Okay, so for a lot of you, the biggest competitor will be do nothing or don't change. Educating a market is probably, you know, in the top 2 most expensive and potentially most wasteful things that you could do. So we'll have a conversation about brand a different day. In terms of educating a market, if what you're doing is advocating a change to the status quo, you either educate or you do it through referrals. If Ian didn't have the referral mechanism and it was a pure personalised DM piece, I'll tell him he's wasting his time. People don't read them. Because I can't, in my interrupted mode with what email is, I'm not thinking about how I change this process. If this was just a DM piece and yours would be the same, if it's just something coming to me, I'm thinking, oh, I'm busy. Next. Or I must come back to that, which really means it's gone.
So
It's
what
gone.
we would find is we have people embarking on spend management initiatives internally, but there aren't kind of budgets assigned to them and process changes and things like that. So we kind of would play into that decision.
But would you ever then target, say, finance departments rather than the legal department?
So this is,
Yeah, so we're trying to, we haven't up to now.
So this is part of the conundrum. This is part of the conundrum if what you're in is change mode. So you can't do pure education because that's just massively expensive. So it's either targeted the referral's one mechanism, so people will read it and we'll give it some headspace. There's thought leadership. So how do I start to create awareness of what this could be in a very efficient way? And that's where you're into content marketing. So you're into good quality content, case studies, referrals, trying to create some noise within either a LinkedIn group or finding out where your customers hang out online. That's another way to do it. Or a third way to do it is trying to create some virality within the product, which is how do you share this? So if Legal Shine's implemented in one customer location, how could other equivalent people of either the legal counsel or the providers get to hear of what Ian does? So you can bed it into the product. But it's very, very expensive to do. It's very expensive to do and needs to be thought out very well. Otherwise you'll end up doing solution selling every single time with expensive resources, which is actually okay if the sticker price justifies it. But putting people on the phone, I'd normally have a view on how much you should be getting per month before putting people on the phone is losing you money, and I'd have the same view around field salespeople. If there's not a certain sticker price, you put somebody in the car to go and start selling to people and you're losing money every time. So the size of the offering and the price you can attract will dictate that. Okay, thanks for sharing it. Thank you. So what you seen fairly early in that discussion was me just probing and challenging to understand the difference between an email. So an email might sound like it's a generic thing. It's not. You know, a referral email can be a piece of magic. So understanding whether a referral email works better for you than a personalized email can be absolutely critical. Personalized emails, which is, I've done a real deep analysis of your company. Genuinely, I've done a deep analysis of your company, and here's a wow ROI that you could achieve. You know, to Mark's example, just seen you were in court last week. Seen that I've been scraping court lists and judgments from the Workers' Council or Workers' Relations Council, not the Labour Relations Council. I've been scraping the WRC judgments. I found out you just got done. You know, you should probably get yourself a resource management system before you get done again in another 12 months. That's a personalised email. Could have saved you, the ROI on this would have been 1,000,000 to 1, could have saved you 100 grand. Ours is only 200 quid a month. You'd have made a fortune. Very personalised. I might read that, I might not. A referral email, which is, hey Harry, someone else who uses our system, Mark, said it would be a really good idea to reach out and connect with you about this because of some HR experiences we were able to help with. I'll start to read that. You can connect with me differently on a referral email versus a personalised email, which is different again to, hey, would a company like yours ever need a performance management system? Have you ever thought of what it might be like to be sued and be up in court for a breach? Please, come to us, we're amazing. That's a different email altogether. Now, any one of the three of those categories might be the right thing for you to use, but you need to test them and plan them and then do the one that works best. The one that works best, do more of it. Okay, so I'm out of time. So, we're going to get coffee in a second. What I'd like you to think about, there's no homework in this. What I'd really like you to think about is, in this world of who is your customer, and there will probably be multiple types of customers, what way do you want them to experience your offering? And after you've worked that out, implement it, and then test the bejesus out of it. Does it work? Does it allow you to scale? In your minds, be thinking, does this scale? Could I write this down in a laminated A4 and hand it to 20 newbies who have walked through the door, and after a week they're able to execute it? It needs to be that well documented. Do you have something that's scalable and repeatable here? Because if you don't think about it through the customer's eyes, I almost guarantee you'll not build the right systems and measurements, which means you'll not be able to see at scale what's going on, and you will not hire the right people, engage with the right customers, and maximize your business opportunity. Welcome to the world of multi-channel marketing execution. This is what it's all about. This is how you make money. I know this from painful experience. So that's it. So I'm going to be around the rest of today. Just before we break for coffee, any burning thoughts, comments, questions?
If anybody's got a good word of mouth or a brilliant plan and happy to share it, I'd love to see it.
Brilliant. Great. I think that's brilliant. I think we'll set up some sharing in this group, because there's people who are thinking about this, or have tried and failed, or are doing it. It'd be great to share. Yeah.
I don't know if people are willing to share, but I think it's important to know what people's average account value is, because the tactics at each level are completely different.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So the sticker price, the time and sales cycle, contract values will differentiate exactly how you deploy this, not just from a CAC versus LTV perspective, but also from a timeliness perspective. Okay. Oh, sorry, one more. Yeah. Sure.
So one of the things in our industry is very much the question is, why should I put my security eggs in your basket?
Yep.
This is a bit sensitive as an industry.
Yep.
We rely a lot on, we find if you send these hi with our product, it's great, it's spam. In our view, the people in our industry are fight spam all the time, as you know.
Yep.
We rely a lot more on content marketing.
Yep.
So what we tend to do is say that there's an event or a training, and but
Yep.
also here's our cool product. And I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that. Like, I think there are referrals as well.
Yeah.
But it's very much, I suppose, trying to give some value in the email, and by the way, here's our product. I don't know, is that a...
Yeah, and look, it's horses for courses.
Yeah.
This exemplar is my preferred way of operating.
Yeah.
That's how I like to buy, and I find that in the generic, it works from a sales and marketing perspective best.
Sure.
I've read some positioning piece. I have taken action.
Yeah.
I have clicked on something. I have said, please contact me. It's a great qualifier. And with all due respect to, outbound, me saying, please contact me is different to me getting unsolicited. You've so many more hurdles, risks, and cliffs to face before we get into the meat of the discussion that if I'm signing up first, if I'm walking in the door, that says something. So that's my preferred, in the generic, that's my preferred mode. Okay, go grab a coffee. Thanks for your time and your input and patience.